What are the best strategy games on PC? Some would say Command and Conquer, others Civilization V, while yet more still would say actually Civ IV was the better game, but at that point we'd stop listening because nobody cares. Join us as we explore a curated collection of the genre's greatest hits, from newcomers to classics. Fun fact: the strategy genre was first invented back in 1938, when Winston Churchill looked out an aeroplane window over France and thought, "Hey, this would make a really cool videogame, whatever that is." Probably. Since then, there have been about 100 million different strategy games, simulating as many different kinds of fighting as we humans have had reasons to fight one another. Before that, don't forget to subscribe our channel, then click the notification bell to updates the next video, and comment down below if you want a game should be included in top 10 list. Hi Cody fam, here are best strategy games on PC in 2021. Please watch and enjoy. StarCraft 2 is a classic base-building RTS featuring armored cowboys, xenomorphic aliens, and space elves. It tasks you with gathering resources, building armies, and killing your enemy before they kill you with quick decisions and even quicker mouse clicks. Is a strong and multiplayer game. Your enemies are human. They'll probably be able to click faster than you, issuing orders quicker than you. You'll lose a lot, but you get better the more you play, making this one a decent RTS for anyone with a competitive streak. The PvP campaign is also notable, as story is hard to do in RTS games. Many developers resort to cutscenes or in-mission dialogue, but StarCraft 2 has you interact with the world outside of combat. Activision Blizzard is facing a lawsuit filed in July by the state of California since expanded for CA and customer service contractors, alleging years of discrimination and harassment. Since then, CEO Bobby Kotick has called the company's initial response tone deaf. Employees have staged a walkout. Blizzard President J. Allen Brack has left, and the ABK Workers Alliance has demanded change at the company. The lawsuit is ongoing. Follow the latest developments here.
Can you not see it? The end is near.
In our Endless Legend review, we lavished praise on a 4X game that blends fantasy and science fiction seamlessly, throwing stranded spacemen against magical dragon people in absolutely the most striking hex-based world there is. Diverse, gorgeous, it looks almost tangible, like you could reach out and pick up one of the elaborate cities and cradle it in your hands. Don't worry, citizens. We won't let the horrible man-eating insects devour you and your families. We whisper into our cupped palms. Fascinating factions vie for dominance over the apocalyptic world. Each is blessed with unique and interesting mechanics that set them apart and inform how they're played. You have got the horrible aforementioned flesh-eating insect race, the necrophage, for instance, who are so foul they cannot make alliances with other factions, forcing them to always be the opposition. Endless Legend is also blessed with a strong narrative that lends it a strong sense of place. Every faction has a set of story quests that will inform many of your decisions without backing you into a corner.
Infested with foolish creatures.
There's a lot to love about Command and Conquer. Red Alert 2. From the ludicrous unit types to the corny FMV cutscenes, you will struggle to find a strategy game with as much personality and charm as this RTS. It may not be as wild as the sequel, which managed to cast J.K. Simmons, Tim Curry, and George Takei, but there's a degree of sincerity amidst the bombast. And if you're just looking for something with solid strategy gaming chops, then Red Alert 2 hasn't aged a day in the 2 decades since its release. You'll find 2 varied campaigns to barrel through, one from the US perspective and one from the Soviet Union, and a tightly balanced multiplayer offering with a couple of endlessly addictive modes. No other strategy game lets you pit democratic dolphins against Soviet squids. And for that alone we'll always adore Red Alert 2.
General, good evening. Congratulations, Comrade General. I hope you're resting.
Company of Heroes 2 was great, but it didn't quite match the magic of its predecessor. Then Ardennes Assault came along. Ardennes Assault review, we found that it's one of the best RTS games you can play. The US forces and German Oberkommando are fighting over control of the Ardennes in a campaign inspired by the Battle of the Bulge in true wargames style. That sets it apart from both Company of Heroes and the sequel, alongside its non-linear single-player campaign that plays out across a strategic meta map. The Germans are dynamic, being reinforced by retreating forces, changing the challenges posed by both story missions and the dynamic skirmishes. While the campaign is only played from the American point of view, the US forces are split into 3 companies, all with unique specialities covering air, support, and mechanized roles. These companies all have special officer abilities and upgrade trees, and any can be used to tackle a mission. Even if you focus on one, the other 2 will still be on the map and can provide assistance by blocking the enemy retreat out of a captured province.
With our divisions scattered, every company
You would find plenty of debate about which modern civilization game was better, Civ 5 or Civ 6. We even had a whole thing about it. But with the release of Gathering Storm expansion, the 6th entry of the series is finally able to stand proud as a great strategy game worthy of note, still epitomizing the ideal of one more turn that makes these kinds of games so addictive. Civilization 6 offers a lot more mechanics to bring the world to life around you. It's not just about schmoozing this civ or declaring war on that civ. You've got to pay attention to how you're impacting the world and working towards your goals, of which there is a wide variety. Civ 6 just recently finished its year-long New Frontier Season Pass, which added a bunch more civs to the game, as well as a bunch of optional game modes and both free and premium content drops. It culminated in the April 2021 balance patch, which, while a bit by the numbers, has left the game in the best state it's ever been. Okay. Fine. As much as I don't like to admit, Total War Warhammer 2 is probably the best Total War game. It's easily the studio's most creative work to date, and the ultimate expression of the long-lost Warhammer fantasy universe. But there's also a credible argument to be made that the tactical layer is pretty pants. Still, the Warhammer Fantasy Total War games in general have done wonders for the strategic layer, offering a more diverse and engaging experience than has ever been seen before. These improvements would go on to inspire the strategic layers of both Total War Three Kingdoms and Total War Saga Troy, both of which are pretty decent historical strategy games and feature tactical battles more in line with the classic games of the series. Read our Total Warhammer 2 review if you need more proof. Blackbird Interactive has done the seemingly impossible with Homeworld, Deserts of Kharak, and that's to transpose the elegant, minimalist space wars of the original Homeworld games to a single planet, making for one of the best strategy games in the process. Somehow it works really well. It's a journey across a vast desert directed by your mission to save a civilization. Each battle is connected to the last, as well as the ones yet to be played. Every unit that survives will live to fight another day in another mission in a persistent war for survival. Kharak itself, despite being a giant desert, is a fantastic planet-sized battlefield that does for the ground what the originals did for space. The addition of terrain and elevation replicates the three-dimensional battles of the previous games, with the sand dunes providing cover, hiding spots, and high ground from where you can unleash devastating attacks. Like its predecessors, the game is blessed with some of the best art design you could hope to find in an RTS, meaning you can take beautiful Homeworld screenshots, add with its incredible sound design, and a genuinely interesting narrative. Deserts of Kharak is a classic.
Continue to migrate into the city centers as we welcome.
XCOM 2 is one of the best turn-based strategy games, and we gave it a really good score in our XCOM 2 review. It takes the best bits from the series so far: the savage struggle, the ragtag group of heroes, the devious aliens. The tight tactical battles and throws improvement after improvement on top. The battles are challenging and varied, full of horrific adversaries with tricky, surprising abilities. But the biggest changes are found on the strategic layer. You will travel all over the world, setting up cells, infiltrating black sites, hunting for more resources so you can field more powerful weapons and tools. It is compelling, rather than an afterthought.
Safety. Please obey all directives from administrative.
Goods and send them off-world. But you're not the only company that's been invited.
Offworld Trading Company is right at the other end of the strategy game spectrum from Civilization, though its designer, Soren Johnson, also worked on Civ IV. While Civ spans the history and some of the future of humanity, chronicling the progress of mankind is all about making a fortune by exploiting our red neighbor, Mars. It's an RTS crossed with the intricacies of the best management games, one in which victory is not achieved by throwing tanks at enemies or demolishing their bases. Instead, your weapons are resources and cash, which you use to manipulate the marketplace, not just to simply get rich, but to completely screw over your competitors. You might not expect an economic strategy game to be very aggressive. Encourages you to be just as hostile as a warmonger. When you're eyeing up menus, planning what to build next, what to sell, which company to launch a hostile takeover against next. It's easily as thrilling as when you're sending infantry across artillery-pummeled fields or launching sneak air attacks against an enemy stronghold in Company of Heroes or StarCraft 2. The same developers have just released their own take on 4X Games' Civilization, called Old World. Check it out.
For they teach you the ways to power.
Talk about a murderous bastard of a grand strategy game. While only time will tell whether this dynasty-spanning, emergent storytelling successor claims the throne of its now free-to-play predecessor Crusader Kings 2, it certainly kicked off its reign with royal excellency. Crusader Kings 3 has massively overhauled the series' formerly Byzantine interface, making it a welcome proposition for new players, while retaining much of the depth the series is known for. It may look like a traditional grand strategy map painter, and while it certainly features in-depth systems for waging war, the heart of Crusader Kings 3 lies in its personal, often hilarious stories. Will you seize power through military might, wealth, religious influence, diplomacy, or subterfuge? Each character you play as has their own personality and lifestyle focus, and each member of your dynasty will shape their empire, for better or worse, before bequeathing it to their next in line. It's a game that makes personal plots hatched behind closed doors just as important as battles between nations.